Hey, what's up, guys? So I'm gonna do a strange video if you're here for the knives. I'm still collecting knives. I've got some really cool stuff, but I wanted to do a video on steel flame and the spinners. And I totally realized that the spinner craze has come and gone, and I'm completely behind in the times. But I just discovered that these are pretty affordable, and I joined a Facebook group called the Bushido Exchange, and there's also a group called Steel Flame Underground, but you have to kind of know someone to get in there. And kind of one of the worst things that could have happened to me was I got into those groups. I saw an ad go up for a spinner, and I would say I was interested in these things probably, I don't know, a year ago maybe, and these things were going for a ridiculous amount of money. And I'll talk and we'll spin these while I talk here for some entertainment. But it was a ridiculous amount of money, and I saw the ad go up for, I don't know, a couple $100, which is still a lot of money, but then they discounted it. And I said, well, if things are getting, this cheap, then I definitely am interested. And of course, they all are not that inexpensive. I think some of them are more than others, but it kind of got the ball rolling and kind of got my head thinking about spinners, and I really do enjoy them. So the first one I bought was a ring spin, and I'll kind of go into that. So what I'm going to do with this video is a couple things. I'm going to go over the spinners because first of all, I had a heck of a time trying to do research. There was really no video that kind of explained what I was looking at, kind of what was rare, what was not rare. I kind of had to figure all that out for myself. So I'll kind of just cover that. We'll cover some new models versus some old models, and I'll even talk about price. And a buddy of mine basically thought I was completely crazy, and he ordered a fake one from China, and is a total spoof joke. But I have that spinner now, and I wanted to show that. And so if you guys do go shopping out there, it's actually so bad it's not even you can't even tell it. Anyway, we'll cover that. So we'll cover the fake one first, and then we'll cover these spinners here, and I'll kind of talk about some definitions and kind of what they're going for right now and kind of where to get them. So the video won't be too long. I'm going to remove all the ones I'm not talking about because I want to basically put the stuff in front of us that we're discussing here. And I have two of these. One is 3D, and we'll talk about that. This is the skull guy, little Skeletor here. But we'll test this one, and I'll talk about some spin times and things like that as well. All right, so the first one we'll talk about is the first one that I got. This is a poker ring spin, and this is your standard ring spin. Spins like that. You can pop this thing out, and it's called a ring spin because you can just do that, and it's pretty fun and pretty entertaining. And I'll be honest with you, far more entertaining. I can see why these were a fad because I spent a few days just spinning the heck out of this, and I still play with them now, and they do not get old. So I purchased this guy here, like I said, for a couple $100. So I was pretty shocked to see these prices go down to that. I was a little worried that they were fakes, so I'm going to do this piece of the video as an informational. I don't encourage or condone fakes in any way, shape, or form, but make a long story short, my friend said, hey, you're an idiot for buying these things. I can buy a fake one, and they're just as good. And he did, and just to spite me, and I have it now, and I figured I'd do an informational. So first of all, there are different sizes of ring spin. There are two you'll see. This is the extra large, and the fake one is neither. It's neither large or small. So that's the first thing. You could tell too that the real one is beautiful. I mean, it's laser engraved. The back says steel flame, all of the stuff that you'd expect to see on a premium product. You can see it's got all these things here. And the fake one here, and this is not even a good fake, but the fake one, it looks like it's stamped. There's no markings whatsoever on it. The heart's upside down there, and there's no steel flame markings. So in general, you're not going to get this confused. Obviously, rubber must cost a little bit extra because they didn't even put rubber on this one. So it's actually a pretty good spinner. So this one has a longer spin time, and I feel like steel flame, a lot of people say they won't time them. I did, and I'll tell you, I get about I would say a minute and a half at most off of this guy. This guy's about a minute and a half. So it's plenty. I know there are spinners out there that are, 4, 5, 6 minutes, but this ring spin, this particular one's a minute and a half. They do vary, and it doesn't look like when they build them that they have intent to make them spin for very long, but some of them really do spin for a long time. So, okay, so first thing you have to know is that there are a couple different sizes of a couple different things. This is called the ring spin itself, okay? So there's only two sizes of this. There's small, and then there's large. And I haven't seen a lot of large ones. The only ones I've seen, I was told that you can only get them at a show. So Steel Flame is kind of like underground. It's not really mainstream. You really can't go anywhere to order them. They go to like gun and knife shows, and you can order them or win them at lotteries at the shows. So they're still fairly hard to get, and if you do see them pop up, just make sure that you kind of have a good idea who you're getting them from, because two things. One, on their Facebook group, the Steel Flame Underground, they basically give some away and then they raffle some off at really low prices. So if you see someone asking like $1,000 or $2,000, he might have bought it on the secondary, but there's a good chance he got it at a show for next to nothing, and he just wants to make a few bucks off of you. I did find that a lot. Now, like I said, the spinner craze is pretty much over, so I feel like I got these pretty much at or below what Steel Flame would have sold them at, which is, pretty fair since they're toys. Anyway, back to the informational here. You can see the large ones versus the standard ones are pretty obvious only when you put them together. I had a heck of a time trying to find the large one because, in a picture they didn't really, when they're in someone's hand, you can't really see if it's large or not depending on the size of their hand. So you have to ask that, and you want to make sure that the ring spin itself is either a standard or an extra large. And I'll tell you, the extra large one is pretty expensive, so they really didn't make a lot of them. And I did get this from a buddy of mine, but even at the shows, they're kind of pricey. So on the Steel Flame Underground, they would sell these for around $300, I'm guessing, $325, something like that. I know I've seen them on certain kind of gun and knife websites, all the way up to $600, $700, $800. And one thing you got to know is there's basically the standard versions, which are kind of two-dimensional, and then there's three-dimensional versions, which they put 3D little caps on. This is called the slug, and I have a really nice one here that I paid a pretty penny for, which has 3D ring spin and, of course, a 3D slug. So if you're looking at a standard 2D with nothing really kind of crazy on it, you can get them at really good prices. So don't pay a ton of money for anything unless you really want it and it's something that's pretty rare, like either an extra large or a 3D parts one way or the other. So you can have 3D ring spins or 3D slugs. Now this thing is called a slug, and there are two sizes for the slug as well. Both of these, even though this is an extra large, are the same size slug. So I'll show you here. Okay, you can see the 3D stuff glued on top does make it a little bit bigger, but the standard slug itself is the same. So you look at the beautiful detail work on there. And they do have rubber, and a couple of them were old that I purchased, and I had to contact Steel Flame. They're so cool. They actually sent me the rubber gaskets free of charge, so even though it's kind of an underground thing and it's hard to find these things, when you do get a hold of them, they are very cool people, and they just sent that to my house. They didn't ask for anything, not even shipping on it. All right, so we've seen the standard ring spin, and we've seen the standard slugs. We've seen a 3D slug on an extra large ring spin. Let's put those over here. And now I will show you a tri-spin. Oh, I will go back, sorry. When it comes to spinners, I feel like weight is a big deal. And what I mean by that is, like I said, this thing spins for about a minute to a minute and a half at most. This guy spins for about 2 minutes. Now, the geometry is pretty much the same, but it's just got so much weight on the outside, and it's just balanced a little bit better. So this is about a 2-minute spinner. That's about a 1 to 1.5 minute spinner. So these things don't spin great. but the tri-spin is just well balanced. The geometry is good. My two tri-spins, this one here spins for about 5 minutes. So this spins for a long time. This one here is pretty much new. I got this directly from Steel Flame. This was $350. So this one was pretty expensive still. Like I said, that's the kind of the price that they sell it at. I picked this one up used for about $300 plus or minus. And the reason why this one was a little bit cheaper, even though I bought it from someone who probably paid a little bit less, is this has the 3D little skull on it. So again, anytime you get 3D, it costs a little bit more. I haven't done it, but you can twist this and pull it off, and you can get to the bearings. But I haven't spun this a ton, but this one was obviously spun a ton since I bought it used. And this guy here spins for about 5 minutes, and this one spins for about 3.5 to 4 minutes. So probably when it does break in, or like I said, maybe the quality control is a little bit different. I'm not a huge time person. I think it's really cool that they spin for a long time, but it's not necessary since you actually put it on your finger. So for instance, I actually play with this one a lot, this standard ring spin. Now you can hear the tri-spinners are silent. This one here is pretty loud. In fact, I was spinning this in my office, and people walking by would stop and say, "Hey, what's that sound? You know, you got something going on in there?" And I'm like, "You know, I'm just spinning a little toy. Don't worry about it." But if you want something that's a lot quieter, get a tri-spin, because they spin completely silent and they spin for a long time. Another thing I'll point out is if you do like to fidget with it, I like them on my desk and I spin them on my desk, but some people like doing this. The 3D is actually a hindrance when you have to hold it like that. You don't get a good grip on it, so I would recommend a 2D. This is much easier, much funner to spin with basically, you know, lifting it up and holding it in your hand. All right, the next one here is a Cog Spin, and this one is actually a pretty bad spinner as well because all the weight's on the inside. It looks really cool, but as a spinner, it lasts for about a minute. Won't really go a minute and a half, so it's just slightly less than the ring spin. This is great on the desk. You know, you can just sit there and spin it like this. The actual, you know, a fidget toy for the desk. Just like the other one, the cog comes off, so you can mix and match and interchange. So I can actually take that off and take this off and put the cog ring, which is actually pretty awesome to spin as a ring as well, on the smaller cog. Now this one here, it's 3D. This comes with the lion on it. So they have a couple different designs, but you can see this base is much larger. So this is called a extra large slug, is the terminology that they use. And you can see it's much larger in comparison with its standard slug, and it's much taller, but believe it or not, pretty much everything works. So you can put the ring spin on the extra large slug and the cog on the small one, no problem, no muss, no fuss, easy peasy. All right. So if you're gonna have it only on your desk, I'd really, and you like the look of it, of course these are all kind of art pieces, right? These are more art than actual functional pieces, but if you're gonna have it on your desk, I'd recommend the cog if you like the design. All right, and the second to last one is a Cypop, I guess, you know, this company here, and I'm not terribly familiar with it, Burnley, makes a bottle opener slash something that you can put in your hand like this, and if you were to get into a fight, punch somebody. So this is designed after that. Now, of course, this uses the same standard small slug, and your finger ain't fitting through there, so you ain't gonna punch anybody with it. But if you just wanted to entertain yourself, it's actually pretty fun to do. Take a look at the beautiful, you could use it as a bottle opener as well. And this one, again, I believe was about $200. Anytime you get into like the larger 3D stuff, it gets more expensive, like I said. So this guy here was in almost actually $400 for this one. And these are 2018. It is, let's see, the month of April. So these are just the prices now. Who knows? In a year, these things might be like 25 bucks. Who knows? But this guy was around the $200 mark. Again, this is probably one of the most affordable. It even is cheaper, more affordable than the ring spin. And so if you're looking just for a spinner and you like the design, which I don't think a lot of people had liked the design. It's actually a really good spinner. This guy lasts for around 5 minutes. So it's a really good spinner, really good weight, a lot of weight to it. So it's really pretty fun to carry around. They all come in these little pouches. Let me grab one to show you. Of different sizes. So if you did want to carry it, they come in these little pouches so you can like take them to work, not care about it, or not have to worry about dinging them or dinging your keys or whatever. Okay, so that's called a Sci Pop, and this is like a rose, I guess, is the design on there. And again, it's not 3D; it's just a standard 2D print, which is why this one was so cheap. But I think it's beautiful. This was a really fun one. All right, and the last one is pretty much the coolest. When I saw this, I had to have it. Again, this came from the this one came from the Facebook group there, and they have a lottery, and I did not win, but I contacted someone, and I basically asked them to sell this to me for around the price that they charged, and it was pretty expensive, so they were happy to make a few bucks on it. But the reason why this is expensive is it's pretty special because it has the extra large base. So you have the larger base, which costs a little bit more. You have the 3D skull, and I forget what the gems they put in there that they're called, but I think it's Taverite, I think. I apologize if I'm butchering that. I just think it's so cool. I mean, it photographs so well, especially with my knife collection. It's so awesome. It's the worst spinner out there because you know, I think they do it by hand, and it looks like they mounted every one of these skulls by hand, and so they're not particularly well balanced. But it's an awesome little piece. So another thing I've got into were flashlights, and I can do a video on them. I don't know if you guys particularly want to see torches, but I'll just show them really quickly because they have some steel flame stuff. Steel Flame's also known for their, let me zoom out here, there we go, flashlight clips and knife clips. So they basically put these designs on clips as well. So I can do a video on flashlights because I'm still learning about them, but I can do a video on them if you guys want to see it. But pretty much that is what I have for you guys as far as information on spinners here. Let's get them all squared away for one final shot spinning. And the way I do it, just because I have so many, is I spin the ones that spin for a long time first here. And this one spins well. This one spins pretty well. This one does not. And that's that. That's the collection of spinners that I've been able to put together. I appreciate you guys watching. Hopefully it was a little bit entertaining. If you guys want one of these, I really recommend them. A lot of fun. So, you know, when you compared with the knife that's a tool, you actually can use the tool. These have no purpose besides entertainment, but as far as in my office, people do kind of look at me funny when I flick my knife and pull out my knife, which I do. That's not a big deal, but these guys I can just, you know, play with on my desk, and although they you know, think it's kind of strange sometimes, no one raises an eyebrow on it. And so literally I've had these at the office, and they provide hours of entertainment. So even though they're a little bit expensive for what they are, just like custom knives or well-made knives, these are American made, US made, hand done, beautiful pieces of functional art. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks a lot.